Blog Talk Radio.
There's a mystery lurking the forested areas of the world. Many have seen something, but what is it? Are they seeing known animals? They claim they walk upright, like a human. There are so many eyewitnesses. Can they all be wrong? Is someone just playing a trick on people? Or is it possible a large bipedal being could exist in the forests of the world? You have a decision to make. Do you believe it exists? These are the topics we discuss on Sasquatch Watch Radio. To another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is December 10th, 2013, and we've got a great show for you tonight. But before we go on with our guests and everybody, let's first introduce my great co-host, Creature Seeker.
Hey, Billy, I like the drum roll.
I gave you a little short 1 second drum roll.
We had a pretty interesting week last week, huh, Billy?
Yeah, we did. We actually did. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, we got a lot of great comments on our webpage.
Yes, we did.
And I think that we have probably one of the some of the best people in our audience that a radio show could ever have. So my hats go off to all you listeners out there. I think you guys are great. We got some great comments, and we will be implementing them. We did have one troll, but we identified that individual, and he's got some problems, all right. But overall, I'm really happy with the feedback that we received about the show. So pretty psyched about that. So thanks again for everyone who participated.
Yes, we do appreciate it a lot. Before we move on to our guests, as we typically do, we are going to have a couple announcements. And, because I get accused of, announcing these conferences, because, we're making a ton of money, but you know how it is.
Well, Billy, the question is this announcement off topic?
Yeah, I mean, it's not off topic because the conferences obviously involve Bigfoot, so.
Okay.
It's not off topic, it's just a money-making scheme. You know how it is. So, if you're not on a, Bigfoot bounty or something like that, it's got a little, you know how it is. So, we won't.
I know how it is.
Anyway, coming up on May 16th through the 18th, 2014, you definitely don't want to miss Creature Weekend. This year, Creature Weekend is just as it always does. Each year blows the other year away. So definitely don't want to miss Creature Weekend, May 16th through 18th, 2014. Creature, when do you think we'll start making announcements about speakers?
Very soon, Billy.
Okay.
We're gearing up to make a big announcement about the speakers, and so all those folks out there, stay tuned. We have actually there's a bunch of announcements coming up. Not only will we be announcing speakers, but we'll also be formally announcing the schedule. So, as you folks who have been to the conference before know, it's not just a conference on one day. It's actually a weekend of events, and they've always been fun, and we always try to make them interesting. So I think you'll like this year's. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but I think you'll enjoy this year's activities.
I will say this. Some of the events definitely involve all age groups, and they're really going to enjoy it. So you can like these events, young or old. Let's see. Go ahead,
Billy. We had an announcement we forgot to make last week regarding Kevin.
Regarding what?
Kevin.
Yes.
What, do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, we've lost a great friend, Kevin Wilson, from Ohio. I met him at the Creature Weekend event, and we lost him. He battled cancer, and the cancer finally won. So, with deep regrets, I hate to say that we have lost a dear friend, and we're going to miss him a lot.
He was a really good guy, and anyone who's in that position, he was just really courageous and sort of accepted, the fact that he, was on borrowed time, but he was a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he used to message me on Facebook, and he would tell me, the days he was feeling good and he wanted to get out in the woods, and I'm gonna miss his little sometimes he would message me in the middle of the day, hey Billy, I want to go out in the woods. And I'm gonna miss that. Also found out for those that know Lloyd Pye. He passed away today. A lot of people know him as the guy who worked on the project, The Star Child. So, also heard about that. So, a lot of sad news on that end.
Oh, that is sad.
So let's get back to the positive. March 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2014. Cabela's is bringing back the Strange, Rare, and Unusual Sightings Weekend. So they have not announced the speakers yet, but my understanding is that's coming real soon also. So Cabela's Strange, Rare, and Unusual Sightings Weekend, they hold that up in Wheeling, West Virginia, also known as Triadelphia, West Virginia, at that big Cabela store. If no one's ever been to that Cabela store, my God, that place is beautiful. And they have an aquarium in there that is just magnificent. And then all of the animals there, the stuffed animals that they've got everywhere in the whole store, the whole place is just miraculous. They got a mountain right in the middle of the store. It's huge, constructed mountain with all types of animals around it. It's just amazing. So try not to miss that event also. It's March 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2014. And
that aquarium, Billy, is amazing because they have live fish, obviously, but the fish they have in the aquarium, they have huge, like largemouth bass. They have huge, like trout. I mean, these are things that, if you hooked one on the end of your pole, you'd be very proud to show that off to people. But I don't know if you've ever been there when they fed them, but they feed them live fish as well. So I don't know how many thousands of gallons that tank is, but it's a huge tank. It's kind of like what you'd see at SeaWorld. And you know, when they throw the fish in there, these little fish, they feed the bigger fish. It's pretty cool watching nature at work. You know.
Yep, that's for sure. Very amazing. It takes up like a quarter of the store. I mean, it's pretty good size.
Yeah, it is.
So, any other announcements that you can think of, Bruce?
That's it. I think I just want to say about the Cabela's event. We were there last year, Billy, and that was a lot of fun. And one of the reasons it was fun was because we met a lot of people who came up to us and said, "Hey, you know, we listened to you on the show. I'm so and so." So we just love meeting listeners like that. Yep.
Yeah, and I will definitely be there again during that time. So definitely come on out. I'd like to meet some of the listeners that I haven't met yet, especially to the radio show. So if you can make it out there, it would be great. Without further ado, we've got a great guest on tonight, and this guest was suggested to me by who's turned out to be a great friend, Cindy Miller Kreiner, and she kind of pointed me into this fellow's direction. And when I read his bio, I was pretty excited. The guy, he's got a great bio. And I'm not going to read it because it's like 10 miles long. I figure he could tell us all about it. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Robert Robinson to the show. How are you doing, Robert?
Hey, guys. Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm sure that you have talked about this many, many times. You have a huge bio, but I bet you know how to sum it up pretty good.
Okay. Real quick, I grew up an Army brat. I got into the whole cryptozoology / unexplained. The Legend of Boggy Creek was the thing that got me going.
Yep.
And because it scared me real bad, and what happened is I started researching it, and then I stopped being scared and started getting real interested in it. And my mother, she's from Scotland, and she told me all about the Loch Ness Monster, so I got into the whole thing. Went in the Army, served in the Army for 21 years, got out, retired down here in Florida, and became a full-time skunk ape hunter. And my wife got into the paranormal, so she became a ghost hunter. So we kind of backed each other up, and we decided instead of calling ourselves monster hunters and ghost hunters, we said, hey, we got to find a different name for ourselves because we both do the same thing. And we kind of got hooked up with some people in MUFON. And the only reason I got hooked up with MUFON because they get Bigfoot sightings.
Right.
So, anyway, and we heard the term legend tripper, so we started calling ourselves legend trippers. So she comes out with me all the time when we go out Bigfoot hunting, and I go with her on her ghost hunts, and we have a good time doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and my understanding is the term legend tripping is something that you wrote about in a book.
Yeah, I got a book coming out. We're just finishing up. Hopefully it'll be in print next month. That's what we're pushing for. It's called Legend Tripping, the Ultimate Family Experience. I call it that because I got my whole family out doing it. And it turned out that's just something we've all been able to do. We're a blended family. Mm-hmm. And my wife has my wife has 3 from her previous marriage. I have 3 from mine. And, we didn't have a whole lot of money to go to, the Disney and all these other places. So, I went on a couple, when I first retired down in Florida, I went on a couple BIFRO trips because, I didn't know anybody else down here to go do it. Mm-hmm. And I told I come home and tell everybody about it, and they said, we want to go with you. So I said, so they started coming with me, and we turned it into a family thing. And I was given some lectures on it. And real quick story, a guy came up to me and said, how do you do that? How do you get because I can't get my kid away from video games. All he wants to do is sit down and I said, hey, son, let's go out camping. And he goes, camping? What do you mean? Go out there where all those mosquitoes are at and just sit around and do nothing? And I said, well, next time you do it, go up to him and say, hey, let's go on a Bigfoot hunt tonight and see what happens then. And he said, he did. He came back. Well, actually, he emailed me. He said, it worked. Yeah. And went out, in the nighttime we walked around looking for Bigfoot. In the daytime we went fishing. So, thanks. So, and an author by the name of Charlie Carlson, who wrote the book Weird Florida, he's the one who kind of had me do some lectures. And he said, you need to put that stuff on paper.
Yep.
So, and I had a good friend of mine, Lyle Blackburn, author of The Beast of Boggy Creek and The Lizard Man, and I talked to him about it, and he kind of coached me through it. Every time I, was writing stuff, I'd send it to him, and Lyle would say, "Oh, get rid of this, get rid of this. You're on track with this. Just stay on topic with this." So, it's been, I've been doing it for about a year writing it, and it's finally finished, and now we're just tweaking it. And of course, we had a bunch of pictures that we were putting in. And then, of course, you got to get permission to use certain people's pictures, even if, you took it when it's both of you. Yeah. And unfortunately, some of them have not responded, like Josh Gates. I don't know why. I'd love for that. I have a picture of me and him, but he hadn't responded, so unfortunately that picture's going to get trashed.
Wow.
And,
well, Robert,
yes.
First of all, thank you for your service. So you were in the Army. You were in the Army after 21 years. You retired. Yes. Really appreciate your service.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Now, when you're working with Lyle, we had Lyle on our show, and he's a really nice guy.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, he really is like a great guy. But when you were working on your book, did you ever? And you worked on it, then you have the finished copy. Was the finished copy anything at all like you thought it would be when you first started?
No, actually, no, not at all. I'll be honest with you. When I first started it, it was kind of more about me than it was anybody. And then finally, Lyle said, it's a great bio, Rob, but this isn't what you told me you wanted to do. So I went back through, and he's right. I mean, just because I think I was trying to relate my experiences, but it was too much of me.
Yeah.
So when I turned it into, what me and the family were doing, it took a whole different direction, and it came out a lot better.
Wow.
And I put down some, the basics on how to go do a Bigfoot hunt, the basics on how to do a paranormal hunt, the basics about, I couldn't go too much into UFO hunting because I said, what are you going to do? Just walk out of the backyard and look up and inside and just hope to God something flies by? I mean, that's, you don't really know where UFOs are going to be unless you go out to, like, Area 51, and then the police out there are going to chase you out of there. But it turned more of a how-to book, and that's actually it was more the direction I wanted it to go, and it really came out pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the most enjoyable things, and I'm sure you know this by now, one of the most enjoyable things is actually going out with friends and family and just having a good time out there. I mean, you can be out there researching, you can be around the campfire, but, some of the conversations and the stories that you have while you're out there is just amazing.
Oh, I tell you, you're right. I mean, when you got them there with you, and then that something happens, like, I had my son one time. We were out in the Devil's Creek Swamp over here in down here in Central Florida, and he turned out he saw something different than I did.
Right,
and then when we come back and we were telling my wife and daughter about it, they were just laughing at us because he's saying, Dad, you just froze, and I didn't know which way you were going to run, and then you look over at me, and and I just kind of look at you, and then all of a sudden, which way are we going to run?
That sounds like a discussion that me and a friend had. We were down in northeast Texas. And you could actually hear, when you're out there, some of these areas, you can hear the wild hogs, that are out there. You can hear them scuffling, So we're both looking at each other. Okay, just so that we don't run to the same tree, which tree are you running to climb if these hogs come over here?
We were out about a couple of weeks ago, and we were out in this back area where there's a fence, and I kept hearing something with the wife. And the wife went back to the car, and I said, man, there's something out here walking, and I hit the flashlight, I flash it around, and then I turned the light off, and it got all quiet, and then I hit the light, and all of a sudden these two eyes just right next to me. It was a freaking cow. I don't know how this stupid cow, I told my wife, this is a freaking zombie ninja cow. I mean, it was right there next to me. I'm like, I thought these stupid things have bells on them or something, that you could tell her, And she's just rolling laughing at me because I guess I must have made an unmanly scream when these eyes were glaring at me.
Well, Robert, I got to ask you, you're down south, but Have you ever tried cow tipping?
You know, I did when I was when my dad's from Mississippi, and my cousin, he took us out one time down in Greenville, and lo and behold, we went out one night after it rained, and it was just muddy and all. You know, cousin like, this is the best time. These suckers just fall right over. Come on, I'll show you how to do it. So we got out there, and we were looking around, and lo and behold, I thought the cow was asleep, but it wasn't asleep. So I took like a football pose, and I went charging at it, hit it, and this sucker, next thing I know, he goes, oh, shit, that thing ain't asleep. I mean, run, you know, we're picking up. And I had no idea. I mean, we all took off running in 4 different directions. My brother went in one direction, my cousin and my other cousin, you know. It was a pretty unsuccessful cow tipping trip that night. So I never did it again after that. And the cow knew who tried to tip him over because he came charging at me.
No, I've never had no success with it myself. So I think I tried it.
I'll give you guys a hint. All right, cows don't sleep standing up. So if it's standing up, that's a good indication it's not asleep.
You know, I grew up a city boy for the most part. I mean, Army brat. So, you know, the whole time going out to visit my dad's family, I was kind of ignorant. I mean, one time we went over to visit his uncle, and then I went out to we were going to do fried chicken, so we went out to the pit, and he said, Robbie, which chicken we ought to kill? I said, let's get that fat one. You know, I was about 5 or 6. So we jump in the chicken coop, we corner it, we get it, and my uncle takes it over this log with these 2 nails sticking up, and he grabs an axe, and he says, Robbie, you ever see a chicken die? I said, no, sir. He says, well, I'm getting ready to cut this son of a bitch's head off, and you got to be careful because these son of bitches come back alive. I went, what? And then, hell, they want to kill you because you just cut its head off. So if I chop its head off and it starts moving, you run, boy. I said, okay. So anyway, he took that axe, boom, and that chicken just started. He goes, it's alive, run. And he said, I've never seen anybody jump the fence before. But I did, and I took off, locked ourselves in our family station wagon, all I could picture was this headless chicken looking, you know, there he is in the car, you know.
Yes. Anybody that's ever experienced that, it is quite a hoot to see a chicken after its head's been cut off. It's amazing how everything still works for a little bit.
My uncle likes to bring that story up too when we've come to visit. Robbie, remember when you ran from the headless chicken, boy? I've never seen anybody run as fast as you did.
Oh man. So Robert, you do most of your research obviously down in Florida.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever had an actual sighting yourself?
The only thing I've come close to, I was out with my son, and we were down in the thing, and we had separated in different groups, and we were going down this little hiking path, and we had the swamps on both sides of us, and we heard something moving around. Mm-hmm. And this was like, the water had, coming up, so whatever it was punching through the water pretty good. And I said, man, that sounds awfully loud. So we stopped, and then it stopped. And I said, okay. So we started moving again, and and all of a sudden we heard it moving again, and it's kind of stopped. So anyway, I bring up my son had some night vision goggles, so I pulled it up, and I see these 2 eyes looking at me, glowing eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I froze, and I looked behind me, and my son was gone. But it turned out I thought he had took off on me. What had happened was he had shifted over to another tree, and I just couldn't see him.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, and then I heard something moving behind me. I went, oh, crap, there's another one behind us. One got our attention, another one came up from behind us. And that turned out to be my son. But then he's like, and I'm kind of, with hand and arm saying, there's something over there. So I bring up the night vision goggles again, and it's gone. And then we hear something moving, and I said, oh, man, I don't know what that is. And then we hear a scream.
Mm.
And, I've heard panthers. Panthers have almost like, it sounds almost like a crying baby. Right. And, I know what the bears sound like. This kind of had to be honest, I've never heard anything like it before. So that's when my son said, maybe we ought to leave. I don't think it wants us out here. So we started backing up. And
what color was the eye glue, by the way?
The eyes?
Yeah.
Well, in the night vision goggles, they were just white.
Oh, okay. I thought you saw the actual. Okay. I thought you saw it without the assistance of the.
No. I was scared to hit it with a flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I mean, I try to keep the light off as much as possible.
Right.
And, to be honest with you, at the time we kept thinking, we don't know what it is out there. It was, whatever it was about, I stand about 5'7", and we were looking up at the eyes.
Okay.
And it wasn't a raccoon because there was no trees in that particular area we were looking at.
Okay. And it was, how far away was it, do you think?
We went back the next morning, me and my son, and I'm estimating about 100 feet from us.
Okay, so it wasn't too far.
Very cool. Again, I'm estimating here.
Right.
But we didn't see an outline or anything. We just saw the eyes, and we heard it moving back there. And the scream, we heard a scream 3 times. We heard it initially, and then when we started walking out, we heard it again. And then when we got back to the vehicle where my wife was, she had heard something, and she says, I heard something screaming. I was getting a little worried about you guys. And then we heard it one more time.
She didn't ask you if it was you screaming, did she?
She may have. No, I mean.
Yeah, I tell you, it's really funny. You get out in the woods. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this happen or not, but you can get out in the woods and everything will be nice and quiet. And we had this happen. This was a couple years ago. We were at a site, and this red fox snuck up. And, they're just as bad. They can scream like a woman. I mean, just loud. And, we wouldn't have known it was a fox, but we actually saw it with the night vision, so we knew what it was. But that thing came up, and, I mean, it got pretty close, and then it let this scream out, and we all probably jumped. There was 3 of us out there, and we all probably about fell out of our chairs because it was so close and just screamed at the top of its lungs. And it was hilarious.
Well, we had originally gone out there because there was a hunter that had seen it on his hunting stand, and he was sitting there. And when it first came out, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and there was a big, huge palmetto field that he was sitting up on, and there was kind of a little bit of fog, and he saw what he thought was a guy in a ghillie suit walking out across the field, and he was sitting there looking at it, and he says, I'm going to let this guy get close by, and I'm going to say, hey, dumbass. You're going to get yourself shot out here. There's people out here. And he was watching, and he said he'd never seen anybody move that graceful through palmettos. Humans are kind of awkward when we move around in there. And this thing was just kind of going through it really. He's like, huh. And he said, I had that little thought behind my head, is that a skunk ape? And then he noticed it wasn't carrying a gun or anything. So anyway, whatever it was stopped up in front of him, and he said it was kind of sniffing. And he pulled out his cell phone and he started recording it. And he said the thing looked right up at him, and he said a chill went down his spine. He goes, that's when he realized it wasn't a guy in a suit, it was a real animal.
Wow.
And he says, God, I've been out here 30 years, and that's the first time I've seen it. Well, he quickly stopped filming because he didn't know what the thing was going to do, and it just bolted off running from him. So anyway, he got a hold of me. And we went out, me and the wife and him went out there, and he took us to the spot. We found tracks, but unfortunately it was like a week later, and it had been raining. But you could see this animal had come out onto one of the main dirt roads or fire breaks, I think they call them out there. So anyway, that's when me and the wife sat down. We looked at a map, and I said, let's go over to this area because this is the direction that it went.
Right.
So. But,
now, have you ever? Because all right, so you've had almost a near sighting or a sighting of something. Obviously,
yes,
you've heard them and that kind of thing. In Florida, you hear a lot of stories about people thinking that some of these may be like escaped orangutans. What do you think about that?
I think we do have there is an animal, a primate habitat where people have brought their pet monkeys, so to speak, or chimps and all that, up near Wauchula. In fact, Michael Jackson's chimp is up there too.
Yeah.
But they keep them under pretty good guard over there. I'm not saying it isn't, because, I mean, my uncle told me that back in the day they used to make Tarzan movies down here, and they weren't too keen on animal, if one got away, they didn't really give a crap. So, I mean, it is possible. I mean, there's a photo called the Maeka Skunk Ape photo. Yeah. And, that animal does kind of look like an orangutan. It's a little bit off.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
In fact, the jury's still out on that one with it. But, I mean, I'm not saying it can't, because there are a lot of rich folk down here who do own exotic animals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we ran into some people that had a pet tiger, one night. We heard a lion, and I went, oh, God, there's a lion out here. Time to go home, guys, And then somebody said, oh, no, it's just rich folk over there. He's got a pet tiger. He was going to make a rug, but the government came in and told him he couldn't kill it. So now he's stuck taking care of this thing. So, but back to your original question, I mean, I can think some of them might be, but, I'm thinking I'd say about 90% of them are probably of an unknown animal versus it being a chimp or an orangutan. So.
Right. Okay.
Well, Robert, are there any differences that you know of? I mean, you've probably talked to a fair amount of eyewitnesses. Are there any differences that they report about the quote unquote skunk ape versus the eyewitness sightings that would occur in the more northern states or the Pacific Northwest? Are they smaller in stature? I always get the impression that these creatures in Florida that have been cited are somehow smaller. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's exactly correct. In fact, that's one of the people say, hey, what's the big difference between Bigfoot over on the West Coast versus the skunk ape? And I said, it's the size. The skunk ape down here is about is only about 6-7 foot, whereas Bigfoot over or Sasquatch over in the is about close to almost 10 feet tall.
Right.
I mean, we've had some reports where the animal has been real tall, but I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of wondering if it just isn't the light just playing tricks on them out there at night. Mm-hmm. Because, I've had it where, we had somebody over and I thought he was a lot taller than he was, and it was just, the way the light was playing tricks on him. So.
Right. Yeah,
now,
it's easy to misidentify stuff in the dark too. It's kind of like you said, the whole vision area of seeing something at a distance can look a lot taller than what it would normally look like in the daytime. So I understand what you're saying. Kind of like the shadows and the way the lighting is can change things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just wondering, Robert, when you're going on an expedition down there, when you're doing research in the bush down there, so to speak.
Yes.
Are you concerned about the fact that there are those pythons running rampant down there, and are you concerned about your safety?
Well, we besides the python, which I'll tell you a little story of that in a second. We got panthers, we got wild boar, we've had some bear sightings. So yeah, I take bear mace with me when I go out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, I don't take a gun because I unfortunately have been known by accident. Make a note to accidentally have trespassed onto private land, not knowing it. And if they catch you with a gun, they'll automatically nail you with poaching. But if you just get caught without that, just, with nothing on you, they'll pretty much let you go. In fact, most of the time, to be honest with you, only one time I've actually been snagged by the Florida Fish and Wildlife. He asked me what I was doing out there, and I said, I'm skunk ape hunting. And he's like, skunk, are you serious? I said, yeah. Well, have you seen it? And I said, no, sir, I haven't. Well, officially we don't believe in it. I said, yeah, well, I've been told that. He says, well, you're not supposed to be out here. I don't know, where'd you guys come? I said, well, there's no fence over there, and I didn't know, this was private. Well, yeah, you better head on out of here. You're not supposed to be here, but good luck. I said, oh, thank you. But, like I said, we keep I take the bear mace. I mean, I made a mistake and let my son hold it one day because he decided he wanted to see if it worked or not, and we were walking around. He took the safety off the, little safety knot, and he was waiting for something to jump out, and what happened was I had stepped in a sticker bush, and he thought I had stepped, there was a wild boar or something. He started spraying it all over and nailed me pretty good with it. And that stuff burns. Oh, yeah. God. And it's like $50 a can for that stuff, too, So,
yeah, but you know what, Robert?
I don't let him carry it anymore.
You should actually give him kudos because at least he was ready with it. I've been out on the trail. I've been out on the trail with some people, and they bring repellent or whatever, and it's not even like unwrapped out of the plastic. So, well, what are you gonna do? So it's still a gift case. What are you gonna do? All right, take the plastic off the gift case. You take it out of the box. Oh, hold on, Mr. Bear. Well, I take the shrink wrap off of it. Now I'll take the stick off. I mean, seriously, you'll be, in the bear's large intestine by the time you get that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ready.
Well, as far as the pythons, I mean, I don't know if you ever saw that TV show Python Hunters. It was on National Geographic. I know one of the guys on there, and he was telling me that there really isn't a big python problem down here the way it used to be. A lot of our cold winters have pretty much done these animals in. And he said, in fact, on the TV show, we usually have to go pull a python and stick it out there for us to find on the TV show. Because we've been out there a bunch of times filming, and there's nothing out there. So, all right, go in the back of the truck and get a python. I'll put it out there. Okay, start filming again. Oh, we found a python. Oh, my God, it's huge. So, yeah. I mean, we do have water moccasins. We have the rattlesnakes, and we have the pygmy rattlesnake, which is now starting to lose its rattle. So it no longer has a rattle anymore, and that little sucker seems to be all over the place out there, more than there are water moccasins.
Oh, but, wow. So that way you don't get a nice early warning.
No, not the way you used to. But we have machetes out there. I mean, I'll let my son at least carry his Bear Grylls machete. So, I mean, he may not have the bear mace, but he's got something he's got something with him in case we run into anything.
Yeah.
We did run into a black panther, me and the wife, one time, so that was kind of interesting.
Now, was that at nighttime or in the daytime or?
Actually, it was in the daytime. I went out to the Green Swamp and wanted to go get one of my trail cams that I'd put out there. And my wife was out taking pictures, and we got into the car, and I was, pulling the disc out and getting ready to check it. And we both look up, and here she is looking at her pictures on her camera, and this thing just walks across in front of us. I mean, it didn't even look up at us. And I went, Holy cow, there really are black panthers out here. I mean,
Robert, the Black Panthers are pretty active in the 70s, so you're really lucky that they didn't mess you up.
Well, that's what we're saying. I said, just a second ago, I was out of the vehicle pulling that trail cam out. I mean, it's just, lucky that it came out when it did, and I was back in the car. Because I mean, it could have been a hungry Black Panther.
Wait a minute, are you talking about the animal?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ. Good Lord, Bruce. We're not talking about those Black Panthers.
Okay. Whoosh, doing that over my head.
Oh, man. Where's your head?
I don't even think they exist anymore, do they?
Oh, no, those are still around, too. Oh, man. So, what you got any planned expeditions or anything coming up?
Well, believe it or not, I teach over at a military academy. I teach JROTC, and I found out in the Green Swamp that the Boy Scouts got a cabin out there called, check this out, it's called the Bigfoot Wilderness Camp.
Oh, wow.
No lie, you look it up. Well, our school, we have, because we're JROTC, we have what they call a venturing cruise. I don't know if you ever heard it. They're kind of an offset from the Boy Scouts. But anyway, because that we have that, we can go use that cabin. So I scheduled for us to go out there in January, and I'm going to take some of our cadets, and we'll do the daytime, survival training. At night, we're going to go walk around and, do some Bigfoot hunting out there. I mean, the area has some history of Bigfoot sightings. It's right next to the Withlacoochee River, and that seems to be, one of the routes that these animals have been seen near a lot. So
that should be interesting.
I'm really looking forward to it because nobody's ever really done a Bigfoot hunt out there.
Right.
Cool.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
Now,
go ahead.
I'm just making sure we didn't have no questions coming out of the chat room. Just so anyone knows, we do have the phone line open if anybody wants to call in and ask Robert a question. And the phone number is 347-237-5070. I'll repeat that number for those that might be writing it down. Number is 347-237-5070. Listen for the prompt. It'll tell you to hit the 1 key so that it puts up a little flag to tell me that you want to come on the show. So, Bruce, was you getting ready to ask something?
Yeah, I just want to know, so, what was the most compelling evidence that Robert found while he was doing research, down there in Florida? Was it a track? Was it, what was it? Was it vocalization?
It was actually that video that hunter took. Remember I told you the hunter took his cell phone out and he started filming it? I mean, we went out to the spot. I mean, initially, I got to be honest with you, it doesn't look that good because you see something standing out there and it's kind of foggy. But we went out there, we and the wife, we looked around to make sure it wasn't some logs sticking up. And then, but, the logs don't move like that, I mean, logs don't move, period. But, you could see the thing just standing there with, something looking at him, and then all of a sudden it bolts from him. And then, of course, he turns the camera off because he doesn't know what it's going to do. And then when we went out there, you could see the path that it took. And he said it came out right here on the dirt road, and there was the tracks. And, I mean, you could just, even though they were, a little badly distorted, you could tell that they were, in fact, tracks out there of something walking bipedal. And, today, and the guy has never, he doesn't look, he's not looking to make money off of this thing. I mean, he just kind of treats it as an honor to see this thing that nobody else has gotten to see. He's not looking to go on TV and all this stuff. In fact, to be honest with you, he kind of wants to keep it low-key because he's saying, I don't want anybody to call me a liar. I know what I saw, and
right.
So as far as evidence, that would be the thing that I to me right now has been the most compelling.
Well, do you think, in your opinion, Robert, do you think that in order to move the discussion forward, do you think we actually need a body, or are you of the opinion that we could just get a picture or a video and that should be sufficient? I mean, if someone said to you, you can have any type of evidence you want, what evidence would you choose to once and for all say, you know what, these creatures exist and this proves it?
Unfortunately, if saying it that way, you got to have physical evidence. Mm-hmm. With videos, the way people are faking them left and right. I mean, I could show you this video that this hunter took, and you'd say, and vocalizations, even footprints. People are getting kind of creative. But, bottom line, to make everybody happy, including the scientists, you're going to need a physical specimen. I mean, I hate to have to sit there and go shoot one. I'd like to be able to walk out there and find a dead one already, to avoid feeling bad about shooting something. But to rest all arguments, you're going to need, to make everybody happy, you're going to need a physical specimen for them to look at and put their hands on and say, you're right, there is an unknown animal out there. We need to, examine this thing and see what it is.
Well, you know what? Would that be considered poaching? If you shot a Bigfoot down in Florida, would that be considered poaching?
Florida has a law here that you're not allowed to shoot anything that you cannot properly identify. I mean, they don't have it on the books. You can't shoot a skunk ape or a swamp ape, whatever, what it's called. But they do have that law in place. It is a misdemeanor,
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and when the law was actually put in place, it had nothing to even do with skunk apes. So when I went asking about it.
Right.
But, I mean, to be honest with you, the area I'm out, I'm surprised somebody hasn't shot it. And the reason the hunter, I told him, I said, did you ever think about, shooting this thing? He goes, I wasn't 100% sure, how human this thing was. They said the thing was walking like a human.
Right.
So, I mean, I think what, people are thinking that maybe maybe it is a little too close to the human species, that they're scared that, they're going to get nailed with murder or something like that.
Right.
I mean, me personally, I would just like to, find one that's already been, hit by a car or, somebody shot it or something like that versus having to actually, like I said, I don't carry guns with me when I go out there. If I run into him, I'm going to spray his ass real good with a bear mace, take a big old 2x4 and knock him upside the back of his head, and then, tie his ass up or something. Load him up in the car, go hide him somewhere, make a couple phone calls before the government gets wind of it, So you better guys get over here real quick and look at this thing before the government takes it away from me.
Robert, that video that you were talking about.
Yes, sir.
Is it available on the internet right now? We have people on the internet.
No, he keeps it. I mean, he gave me a copy to look, but I promised him I wouldn't release it, and he's the only one who's allowed to release it. And I think he was. I talked him into to going on that TV show, Monsters and Myths of America. And I don't know if they did anything with it. And he showed the video to them.
Okay.
Like I said, the video really shows is a palmetto field with. Initially, I thought it was just a tree stump standing out in the middle there. Mm-hmm. And when I went out there, it's just standing there, and all of a sudden it moves and starts running. And then all of a sudden it stops filming. And I went out and stood where it was at, and you could see where something was there. And whatever it was like I said, I'm 5'7". It was close to about 7 feet.
Oh wow!
Wow. Yeah, because my wife took a picture with her camera. We measured it and looked at my picture of me compared to whatever it was that was out there. Again, I don't think the way the guy's sincerity. I don't think he was making this up.
Right. That sounds like hopefully they'll put that on the show. That'd be interesting to see.
I hope so too. I mean, like I said, he's a little gun shy. He doesn't really want to be on TV and all that. And he said he was a little worried that he was going to get harassed by people at work about it.
Right.
Ron,
Go ahead,
how
Bruce.
would you characterize your technique in terms of collecting evidence? Do you find because of your military background that your technique is different than others? I mean, when you've been out on expeditions with other people. I mean, what is the sort of biggest criticism you have, when you go out with other people?
When I first got started, it didn't seem like anybody really had a good plan in place. When I get out there, I have an idea where I want to go. And I have a basic idea. I want to break people up into teams. I want to send them down this way, make sure we got radios. And then we hit static posts where, okay, I want you to go into this place, just stay in, and then we're just going to keep radio contact, and we're just going to listen to it, And then, and I go off of where the sightings are, and I always make sure there's one thing I look for is a water source. Because, I mean, I always believe these animals stay close to our rivers and our creeks.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go out there, I look, okay, let's stay close to see how close we can get there, and we'll set up some static posts. When I went with a couple of the BIF road trips, they just kind of went walking around. I was just like, do you guys know where you're going? We're just going to follow this trail. And then,
we're just going to go walk aimlessly through the woods.
Yeah, I mean, one of the teams got lost, which I was a little, I wasn't too surprised about that. And, a couple of them out there had never been in the woods period. I mean, they were watching them try to start a fire. They had, a bunch of logs with a big lighter. I looked at them, and I was like, what are you guys doing, Oh, we're starting a fire, We heard Bigfoot's attracted to fire. I said, oh, really? What else did you hear? And then I said, yeah. And I said, you guys are going to be there forever trying to start that fire. And I said, so I said, move those logs. And I got little twigs, and I got the little, got a fire going. And one of these guys just looked at me, dude, you're a fire god, man. I mean, how did you do that, I was like, oh, my God. And then when I'm walking through the woods, in Florida, our walking trails are marked with these little blue patches that they paint on the trees.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have them in your area. But anyway, we were going through the woods, and I had my light out, and I'm just kind of looking at and they said, dude, how do you know where you're going, man? You're just a dude who just knows his way through here. You're awesome. And I was like, what? you know, you didn't see me putting my flashlight up in the trees? I mean, you didn't figure out I was looking at those blue little patches? And I said, you know, should I even tell him I did that, or should I let him believe this, that I'm some awesome dude out in the woods? Anyway, I didn't tell him. I decided just to let him believe the myth. And then we came to a field, and there was a bunch of deer, and I hit the lights, and then you know, you see the deer eyes glowing. And they just, I mean, you should see these guys. I mean, they just froze literally in place. One guy's legs hanging up in the air and all that. And I said, and they go, is that Bigfoot? And I said, no, those are deer.
Oh. You can have some fun with people. You know, people that, especially people that just don't spend any time in the woods, and it's just hilarious. And I know
they are enthusiastic, though. You know, they are, I mean, you know, they may not know about it, but at least they got their. They will go out and do stuff. They don't sit around on their butts and just, you know, let's let Bigfoot come to us. You know, they want to go out and do stuff. I mean, they may not know stuff, but you know, I always said at least they want to. You know, they're all about learning. And some of them, you know, some of their ideas out there, like, you know, I heard Bigfoot's psychic. Oh, really? Where did you hear that?
Robert, one of my friends is a researcher, Dave Rupert. He spends a lot of time out in the woods, but it's because he has no choice, because he always gets lost when he goes out in the woods. So he's, you know, wandering around a lot. So I know exactly what you mean when you say, you know, people get lost, and you're not surprised.
Well, you know, I'll be honest with you. I, you know, saying that, me and my son just the last weekend, we got lost. We went down to. I mean, I wasn't lost where I couldn't get out of there, but I didn't know exactly where I was at on there. I made a mistake by not taking a map with us, because I said, oh, it's a horse trail. It'll come back on the main road. Well, it did about 12 miles later. You know, and my son's like, my God, where the hell are we at, Dad? I said, I know exactly where we're at, son. You know, I took you out because you need to lose some weight, damn it, so let's just keep walking. So finally we got up there, and, you know, I was like, wow, I've never been here before. And I see this camp called, you know, Ashley Campgrounds. I'm like, oh, crap. I said, son, stay here. I'm going to go up here and talk to these people. I don't think they're supposed to be here. I said, where the hell am I at? You know? Oh, you know, I said, yeah, I'm looking for a Compresco. Oh, it's right over there. Oh, okay. I said, okay, son, let's go. And he's like, I heard exactly what you said. I said, oh, crap.
Robert, are you ever concerned about sort of meeting strange people out in the woods? You know, I tell people all the time that, you know, I'm not, you know, here in the Northeast, I'm not really so much concerned about wild animals as I am meeting, like, kind of, you know, strange people, you know, who are in the woods doing things they shouldn't be doing, or
yeah, we have that. We have meth labs out here where we're at.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we have some people that have some stills out there and stuff, but the area that I've been going at it's pretty much a wildlife area. I'm not saying there isn't, but I mean, I do know some areas out near Okeechobee that I was been told to stay the heck away from because they've had reports of meth labs out there. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's any Bigfoot out there. Those meth heads, they'll, you know, not only will they kill it, but they'll eat it, you know.
I doubt Bigfoot wants to be around that mess anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, Florida does have some interesting people out there, you know. I mean, you know, you run into some hunters out there, and, you know, they're just looking at you. I mean, we were walking one time, and I felt something looking at me. I look up, and there's a hunter in a tree stand, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Did he have a bead on you, Robert?
You know, I was sitting there wondering, and I said, I don't think I have enough orange on me. I think this guy may just get bored. So I think I'll shoot him just to see what happens. Yeah. And then just lie to the police that I thought he was a Bigfoot or something, you know. I mean, he looked like he was ready to shoot something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little scary. But I think you did answer. You answered Ramble One some of her questions. They had mentioned for you to tell some of your scariest and oddest and funniest stories, and I think you pretty much covered them all here in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
No, I tell you, when you get into a Bigfoot hunt, there's never a dull moment.
Yeah,
now, the Florida skunk ape is so named because it emits a foul odor. Is it, in your opinion, is that just because it's wild and lives in the the woods, or do you think there's something biologic about it that maybe uses that as a defense mechanism? What's your theory on that, Robert?
Well, initially, when I started getting into it, I thought it was because of the moss that might grow on these animals. But, I mean, if you hear about all these stories, I mean, even the Fouke monster is known for having a stink. The one in Texas and, people in California. So I'm beginning to think that it's kind of a mechanism, something the animal gives off as a way of fighting itself. When I was down in Panama, they have the sloths. And those animals, they got their little furry they have this, smile on their face like, come over here so I can hit you with my claws. And, but they give off a smell too. So, I'm going to think that it's more of a mechanism within the animal system that, that helps it protect itself.
Mm-hmm. So, have you seen the Mayaka ape photo?
Yes. You mean the one that? Yeah, I have. In fact, I'm like, I can put that in my book because whoever submitted it has never come forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of until whoever owns it, comes up and So I went ahead and put it in my. There's actually like 3 photos. It was submitted by the way the letter went. They're thinking it was an older lady, real old lady that I guess the animal was coming in the backyard, and it was going through the trash, and. So she, pulls her something out there to lure it in, and she went out there, and she said she didn't even see it. The way the letter is that she didn't see it, she just took pictures, and then she said, oh. But, she never called it a skunk ape. She just referred to it, an ape, and she sent the pictures in a letter to the Sarasota Police Department. But, she didn't leave an address, which, I'll be honest with you, it can go 2 ways. It was a hoax, or this lady was just, old and senile and just forgot to put an address on there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that a few researchers who've seen it regard it as a hoax, but it looks like it could be some sort of orangutan-like creature.
It does look a lot like an orangutan that's been out there for a while, and it has gotten older. So I mean, there's some people saying that the feet look different and stuff, but a lot of the footprints taken down here in Florida are, still look a lot like the traditional Sasquatch or Bigfoot prints. You had Dave Shealy down in Ochopee, and he had these ones that they were like 4-legged ones, and I'm not 100% sure on those tracks.
Right.
I know Dave pretty well, and Dave always stands by his story, and I'm not gonna. But they just look really, it's like the Fouke monster and the Honey Island swamp monster. They're 3 toes.
Oh.
And why does Bigfoot over in Texas, right across the border, have a regular 5 toes, whereas the Fouke monster has 3?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And the prints that were taken from some other places in Florida, they are the traditional 5-toed footprints. But
right.
but then we've had some that have it looks like. It may have been a gator print. It may have been a large gator print that people are mistaking, thinking it's a skunk ape.
That's what I've always thought, with the whole 3-toe thing, is that it's maybe a large gator or something.
Well, I talked to Jeff Moldrum, and he said if you look, traditionally every animal that's bipedal, with the exception of birds, they're all 5-toed. From orangutan to a chimp to the humans to Neanderthal man and all that, they all had 5 toes. So, and Bigfoot traditionally on the West Coast, they're 5-toed, and the ones in Texas, and there's prints taken up in the Panhandle, and they all have 5 toes. So, I'm a little skeptical about the whole 3-toed thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think the theory that the Honey Island swamp monster tracks were actually gator tracks. I think the theory that they could be gator tracks, it might be valid. Although I did speak with Deanna Holyfield, and she claims that they're wholly different than gator tracks, and she's a woman who lives in in Louisiana and has a lot of time out in the bayou. So it's hard for me to believe she doesn't know what a gator track looks like. So I don't know which way to to go on that issue.
Well, I mean, there was a while back when if you heard of M.K. Davis.
Yeah.
Sure.
He found the shoe that was used to make some of those prints. My own personal opinion is I think Harlan Ford, the gentleman that originally Dana Holyfield's grandfather, I think he did see something out there, but he was never ever able to find any proof to back it up. And I'm not saying he fabricated it, but I don't think that when those prints came, I just don't think he was able to back it up with any concrete evidence. But I do think the man really saw something out there.
Yeah.
Again, that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there. Yep. I tell you, there's a few states in the United States that you just know there's some stuff out there. Kentucky is a strange state. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm sure Lyle could go on about that even.
Yeah.
Just some of these states, man, they have some really strange stuff out there. You never know what you're going to run into.
Well, I was stationed up in North Carolina, and near the mountains up in that area, and there was all kinds of stories that came out about weird things, strange lights and weird things people seeing things going out, running across the road over there, So, I mean, I think the only two states that haven't had any Bigfoot sightings would be Hawaii and maybe Rhode Island.
Well, believe it or not, there's a Rhode Island Bigfoot group.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
Well, when I was when my dad was stationed in Kansas, I went looking all over the place for Bigfoot sightings in Kansas. I had to go to Missouri, because you had MOBO. So I took my couple of high school friends, and I talked them into driving us over there because I didn't have a car. So I talked them to going over there, and it was kind of close to when the thing had been seen, but it hadn't been seen for a long time after that. So, the town people, to be honest with you, I only talked to one person in the store. Didn't really seem that receptive when I was asking them about it. So, that's I guess
Robert,
that would be my very first.
That you interview in, when you go out, do you find them helpful or distrustful?
Well, I was a military policeman when I was in the Army, and part of it, you conduct interviews and all that stuff. And I'm not saying I'm an expert on it, but I can usually tell when somebody's lying to me. And one of the techniques I do is I try to get them to tell me the story 3 times in a row. And most of the time, a person's lying cannot tell you that story straight 3 times, especially when you start hitting them with questions.
Right.
So, there are times when I realize the guy's, buffaloing me, I do get a little irritated. And I kind of, my wife will, to be honest with you, she's just point blank saying, you know what, I think you're lying to us. My wife has no, because believe it or not, she's not really a believer, but she says she's going to keep an open mind about it. But I have, other than that hunter out there, she hasn't really seen anything out there. And when I took her out there, we met some people that were hunting Bigfoot, and they went on about the whole psychic Bigfoot. She got really turned off on it. But when we have talked to some people, like I said, she'll just kind of look at them and stuff, and then she says, well, you just said this a second ago. Oh, well, I meant this. She said, I think you're lying to us. I don't think you saw anything out there. And the guy, well, lady, I think I know what I saw. I said, yeah, well, you saw something that, you're just full of, And then she said, Rob, let's go. This guy don't know what the hell he's talking about. And I said, okay.
Hey, Bruce, do you think she might be related to Janine?
Really, I was just thinking that, Robert's wife would be a tough person to take out to a restaurant because right after the server tells you what the specials are, she'd say, I think you're lying.
I tell you, my wife is from Pennsylvania, and she don't pull no punches. I mean, God bless her. That woman, she don't care who you are. If she thinks you're, trying to pull one over, she will say something to you.
She's not from Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, is she?
What's that?
She's not from Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, is she?
No, she's from Bucks County, where they made that movie Signs, that Mel Gibson movie. Yeah, that's the area she's from.
All right.
And, you know, they got some pretty weird stuff up there. They got this place called Ghost Mountain, where the kids said there was some albinos live up there, and at night when you drive up there and park your car, the albinos will get you, and they're cannibalistic and eat you.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Wow.
I said, what kind of drugs did you guys smoke back then?
Well, Robert, if you think it's funny that, you know, people in Rhode Island look for Bigfoot, it's even funnier when you realize that there are people in Clearfield County looking for Bigfoot, and we all know that Clearfield County is a Bigfoot-free zone. It's true.
Hey,
I've been there.
Hey, Bruce. Bruce, I think you're filling the show with a lot of fluff. Real quick, we've got a caller holding. Caller from the area code 601. You're on the air.
Hey there. Yeah, I say it every time. I'm actually got a phone number from Mississippi, but I'm in Texarkana, and my name's Brian. So I'm next to Falk. It sounds like you're very familiar with Falk. That's awesome, and wow, and all that's going on down here. But last night we had online a pretty extensive discussion of the situation where people often say they have a feeling or fear that just overpowers them and they're in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it is possible, and this is what we discussed, that Bigfoot not only have the loud vocalizations, but have vocalizations that rumble and resonate to the point where they actually project fear somehow, like, underwater animals can, do the sonar and project noise. Is that something that, you've thought about or discussed with anybody?
What do you think about that, Robert?
Well, I, as far as the rumbling goes, I mean, to be honest with you, anytime you hear any kind of rumbling, that starts getting the neck, hair on the back of my neck going. But as far as, you're out there and you all of a sudden you just feel something, I would say it's something looking at you. Because I've been out there and I can say, well, crap, there's something out there, and when you're out there and you feel somebody looking at you and then you can't see what it is, it really starts to get to you after a while. And then it gets to a point where you don't even want to be there. So, right. I mean, as far as the rumbling goes, it is possible, but I just know that when I've been out there was never really any rumbling. All of a sudden it was just a scream out of nowhere. And to be honest with you, it didn't take much to get me a little bit rattled on that scream because I didn't know what it was that made it.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Hey, caller, you said your name's Brian?
Yes.
Right. I've heard a lot of other researchers talk about exactly what you're asking, and a lot of people believe this creature is capable of producing infrasound, which when you do research of infrasound, you'll actually learn, and you've probably heard this too, Robert, since you were in the military. The military has done testing with infrasound, and infrasound at certain levels can actually create different reactions in people. For example, it can create a fear. It can create
nausea,
and all types of things. And a lot of people believe that this creature may have a deep enough chest cavity, lung capacity, and voice box and that kind of thing to actually create and project infrasound. Now, of course, that's a theory. We don't know that, but it could explain a lot.
I do know a story. There was, I think it happened in Italy. There was an organ in one of these churches, and for some reason there was one key that they would hit, and if you were near it, you had this overabundant thing of fear that would or sheer terror that would come over you just standing in that one place when they would hit that key on the organ. So I mean, it is definitely possible that sound waves can react to your nervous system. So.
Right.
I guess the bottom line, it is possible. Maybe this animal can hit some kind of a sound within them that can just, when it hits our nervous system, all of a sudden wow, we're hit with sheer terror.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what was discussed was obviously you've got equipment, you've got thermal imaging, thermal cameras, and all that. and I don't know what the words they were using, because some of them guys were pretty knowledgeable sounding, but bring some kind of a device out there that can measure non-normal recorded stuff from nature, like the typical bear, the typical this, the typical that, hit in ranges that are not typical. And then if you pick that up, then, hey, maybe it is.
That's right.
That's an interesting idea. I had a friend of ours that he does sound systems and all that. Now you got me curious. Maybe I might give him a call and ask if he could bring some stuff out one day.
It was a fun conversation. So
I've heard of people creating infrasound recorders, or at least attempted to do that. I've never seen one used, but I'm sure someone that's got some type of sound experience can come up with something like that.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I hope this animal doesn't have that. I hate to go out there Bigfoot hunting and he hits a low sound, all of a sudden I'm hit with sheer terror and I'm running out of there. I mean, that's a wasted trip for me. Crap, I can't get close to this thing. It keeps hitting that damn noise, and I keep running out of here.
Right, well, how many people do that, though? How many people run out of there and they're like, oh, my God, something's getting me, and they don't even know.
Right.
Well, I ain't going to lie, it does happen down here. Of course, you have some kids out there partying, and they hear something, and all of a sudden, they come running out there, but you don't know what it is that scared them, because they go, oh, I've never heard that before, which,
right. Yep.
All right. Well, fun show. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, infrasound is one of those interesting areas, regarding Bigfoot research, because, it is known that animals do react to infrasound. I'll never forget, this video, there was some sort of natural disaster. I want to say it was an earthquake. And the video was a security camera video of this some sort of indoor building. And there's a dog, and right before the earthquake hit, the dog just bolts, and you don't really know why. And then all of a sudden you see the building shake and things start collapsing. But I think it's been fairly understood that animals do can perceive infrasound. And infrasound is basically anything under 20 hertz or 20 cycles per second.
Mm-hmm. I have heard a theory, in relationship to the trail cams, why nobody's been able to get a picture, that maybe these animals can actually hear the mechanism in the camera working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, we actually have a well-known researcher here in Virginia. As a matter of fact, he's in the chat room, that went off of that theory, that's very possible, and he created a camera system that does not generate the sound. So it has a trigger mechanism that can't be heard by any animals, and it's called the I Gotcha camera system. It's my understanding is it works real well, and it's way more effective than any trail camera.
Is that thing been marketed, or is he still in the testing stages with that?
I don't think it's been marketed to my knowledge, but we're going to have him on the show here real soon. I'm sure he'll tell us about it a little bit more. But it's definitely, I've seen the camera. They're very small. You can get small ones where you can actually drill holes out in logs and hide the things in logs and things. It's a great system. It looks like a great system.
Yeah, one of the things I like about it is not only is it very quiet in terms of in the sound of the picture taking, but the trigger mechanism is like a pad that you can actually bury. So the camera could be activated by somebody walking over the pad, which could be buried under leaves or buried under a thin layer of dirt. And I think the camera was really, the prototype that I saw was pretty cool. It's just, I think the manufacturing of it is cost prohibitive in that it's so expensive to manufacture that there may not be a market for it at that price. And there's so many other cheaper electronics around that it may not do well in the marketplace. So I think that might have been the barrier.
That's too bad. That sounds like that's something I would like to use out where I'm at, because I haven't had much luck with my trail cams.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed right off the bat, I did a research project not too far from where I live, and the first thing that I noticed is the cameras have to stay in the same spot for a long period of time, and you'll notice over time, as long as those cameras don't move and they're there all the time, you'll notice an increase in wildlife pictures.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with you 100% on that one.
Yeah. So we actually had cameras on this one site for 2 years. After probably about 3 to 4 months, we were only getting like 3, maybe 4 photos in a month. And then after that 4th month or so, that's when we noticed the increase in the photos. So they definitely have to be there for a while, because I think the animals definitely notice that there's something different.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I have 4 cameras, and like you said, I keep them all in the same spot. I go out, I change the batteries out, I put a card in there, and then I leave it, and I spray it with no scent, and I got a bunch of camouflage netting that I keep around it to keep hunters from stealing them. And like I said, I'm just going to keep them there, that same area, and they're both near, well, 2 of them are on a trail, the other 2 are near a little creek, and I'm going to keep them there for as long as I can possibly do it until something, But I've had them out there, so I put them out there at the beginning of summer, and they're still out there in the same location.
Yeah. Have you noticed an increase? How long have you had them out there?
I put them out right because the area shuts down for letting you drive vehicles right at the beginning of summer, around May. So I got them out there at about May, and then I basically left them there the whole summer, and then when is it? August, I went ahead and me and the wife grabbed bicycles, and we went out there with one of and rode to the nearest one we could get to, and we didn't have it. I had to change the batteries, but I didn't get any pictures. So due to the fact that we were only on bicycles, I just went ahead and put batteries in it and just kept it there. And I'm going to go check them on them. Hopefully this weekend I can get out there and go check them again.
Right.
But we've had some of the areas closed down because they got hunters out there.
Right.
Robert, are those cameras that you have, are they night vision? Do they have night vision on them?
Yeah, Bushnell.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, all 4 of my cameras definitely have night vision. And so.
Yeah, I've noticed that the ones with the flash, they're not very effective, because once that animal sees that flash, you're not gonna get nothing else there.
Well, I tell you, over where we're at, if you have a flash on your camera, it's going to get stolen. Those hunters will see it, and they'll come out there and with wire cutters, and they'll cut the. So I've heard people say, you don't want to have the flash on because you ain't gonna have it next time you go back out there. So
that's absolutely true. I've had 3 cameras stolen, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not really eager to put them out anymore. Even with the steel cables in a padlock, they just come back with wire cutters and.
Well, I've been putting them up high. I take a ladder with me, and because I kept thinking maybe they can, see my, or we're making too much. I'm leaving too much human scent anywhere, so I would just go up as high as I could possibly get them and aim them down.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the hunters are like, "What the hell's that guy doing with the ladder?" I'm running away.
Well, it's been great having you, Robert. We've already went over our hour.
Oh, okay. Hey, it's been great. Great conversation.
Yeah, it's hard to stop when you're having fun, but
yeah, it is.
I definitely want to give a shout out to Cindy Miller Kreiner. She's a great lady. She's given us you and she's given us some other folks to interview. If y'all want to check her out, she's got a site on Facebook called No Boundaries Media Entertainment LLC. And you'll actually see that she's got a lot of great folks, including Robert, on her page there that she helps out and represents. So she's definitely a great lady.
Robert, what's your website page?
My website, Gage?
Yeah.
I just have a blog. I got it, Legend Trippers of America. If you type that in, you'll come up to, yeah.
LegendTrippersOfAmerica.com?
Well, I have one .net, but I don't really do too much. I just do the one on the blog. If you go to like Google and just type in Legend Trippers of America, it'll come up.
Okay. We'll have to check that out.
Well, looking forward to your book.
Yeah, me too. I am too. And certainly we want to give you an open invite to come back on the show. Maybe we can talk to you later on. And,
I appreciate it. I had a good time tonight.
Yep, we had a great time having you on the show. So thank your wife for us also, because, of course, she had to give you permission to have time with us.
Yeah, well, I bought her that new Wolverine movie, so she's in there watching that right now. So she's good.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. Well, Robert, thank you so much for being on the show. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll definitely have you on the show again soon.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I had a great time.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
Take care.
All right, Bruce, looks like we've wrapped up another show. I believe we have an announcement that I forgot that we talked about earlier that we needed to mention for Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, we're actually winding down. This is so we have one more show left. That's next week, and we are going to be taking a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a 2-week break so that we can enjoy the holidays. And since the show pretty much falls on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, I didn't think too many people would probably be very interested in listening to a radio show on those days, because everybody would probably be busy with their families. So what we will do on those days, for those who may be bored and still want to listen to a show, is we will... Bruce and I will decide and pick 2 of our, what we think are our best shows, and we will have those shows run during our regular time on Tuesday at 9 p.m. on those days, on New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. So if anybody still wants to hear a show, they will be playing live on those days, whatever we decide which 2 shows we want to play. So just want to kind of tell everybody that ahead of time. But we will be here next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, with a guest. Do you want to tell them about that guest, Bruce?
Yeah. So we will be interviewing a conference organizer. This gentleman was his first conference, and he did a pretty admirable job of throwing this thing together. And I actually attended that conference and had a great time. So we'll be interviewing him, and that's next week. And I believe his last name's Manson, believe it or not. I called him Mason by accident, and he corrected me. No, it's Manson, like the serial killer. So so that should be a pretty fun show.
Yeah, that'll be a good one as well. And I'm trying to think. Do we have anything else before we sign out of here? I think that's about it. I think we've covered all the announcements. And so, yeah, that's all I've got, Bruce. If you don't have anything else, we'll call it a night.
Yeah, no, just, I want to say that we still have the comment page on our website, which is fairly new.
Yep.
Bill, you want to give them the URL for that website?
Yep, it's www.sasquatchwatchradio.com. You go right to the home page, scroll down to the bottom, and we have our little poll up there that you can answer. You can also go to the Contact Us tab, and there's a email form there that you can fill out and leave us your comments about the show. We want to hear comments. We want to hear complaints. We want to hear whatever it is that you want us to hear. If you have certain guests that you'd like to hear on the show, feel free to put any of that in there and just let us know what you think, and we will respond to those messages. So we appreciate everyone. We've had quite a few people send us comments and stuff, and it's great. We love it.
Yeah, it is great.
So I think that just about does it. And if you're done, Bruce, you got anything else?
That's it, Billy.
All right, everybody, join us next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, here at Sasquatch Watch Radio. And until then, everybody have a wonderful week and weekend. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Remember to join us again next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate every one of our listeners. Thank you so much for being here.